Alright, so, this is annoying. So, like, it should be no surprise to you, like, the whole Looksmaxxing thing has been, like, blowing up ever since, like, it started all the way back in January of this year or December of last year when this guy Clavicular started appearing on everyone's, like, feeds and stuff, and then, like, the whole Looksmaxxing sphere became a thing. You have Androgenic, Andrew Maxer, you have, like, a bunch of, like, these, like, Looksmaxer people, to the point that, like, there's even freaking creeps, dude. I forgot the name of that, like, creep that got exposed by JDon or something, but you know, Looksmaxxing has become its own sphere. It's essentially the fucking car. It's essentially the replacement of the manosphere. Ever since like a lot of people like fell out of favor with like people like with the likes of Sneeko, with the likes of X Fearless, with the likes of Iron Gaines and shit, and like. It only makes sense that like Looksmaxxing is so popular today. But the thing is that like I feel like the whole philosophy, I was about to say theology, but I guess because Looksmaxxing is essentially a cult, but the whole like philosophy and the whole ideology around Looksmaxxing is like fundamentally flawed because I feel like a lot of people don't really understand how attraction works. They're like Looksmaxxing is so stringent on like breaking down human to human into attraction into this like science that they can manipulate and like kind of like game the odds to be in their favor, which I mean, yeah, a part of attraction is there is a scientific element to it, but at the same time a part of it is just like human to human connection that like it's like kind of inexplicable. You can't really articulate it, just happens, you know. Some people just click, they just click like that, and like there's really nothing to explain that can explain it. But I guess I want to like start first by talking about the more logical aspect of Looksmaxxing, the idea of lookism, that like the idea that pretty privilege exists. The thing is that this is just an objective truth, and there's like really no way to deny it. If you're attractive in this world, especially if you're an attractive woman, you're gonna have life a lot easier. Now the thing is that like looks can be a double-edged sword for women. A lot of times, because you know, think about the dumb blonde stereotype, stuff like that. Examples of this thing being a reality isn't really coming to my head right now, but the thing is that like it just exists. So yeah, but really, it's really this idea of like men waking up to like the whole idea of like looks mattering to like not just women, but like everyone in general. If you look better, if you look more attractive, if you fit more with the cultural beauty norms, you're more likely to get things like you're more likely to get promoted, you're more likely to get a job in the first place, you're more likely to get more dates, you're more likely to be socially accepted, you're more likely to not be treated like a freaking loser, which is just this is just objectively true. This is the one thing that the whole Looksmaxxing black pill aspect of the manosphere gets right, that lookism is true, but this is how they get you. They will tell you one little truth and then they will string you along, kind of like blurring, dropping some lies along the way, and blurring like the line between reality and fiction to where they can get you to believe like absolutely ridiculous stuff. And that's where like even the name Looksmaxxing, think about it, treating human to human affection, or no, treating like physical beauty, an abstract concept, as this like scientific thing, this like thing that can be put on a numerical scale. Think about like 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. It's just like, I don't know. I want to call it dystopian, but that's not the right word. It's kind of it is kind of dehumanizing. I'm not gonna lie. In most contexts where people are like randomly bringing up like rating someone on a look scale or whatever, I think it's dehumanizing. But it's just like really, you can't really put like certain things into a science. That's just my opinion. Like, you can't put relationships into, like, you can like partially put some aspects of it, recognize patterns, and recognize like things that like often happen, but the thing is that like you can't like classify the entire thing into a science. Like you can't like say there's a field of science called relationship science, because no, that's bullshit. Humans are dynamic, humans are complex. Humans can't really be, human beings can't really be easily like put into one box or one category. The scientific method doesn't really apply as cleanly to humans as it just like, things in nature, things like this tree I'm looking at as I'm recording this. So the idea of like, the fundamental idea of like Looksmaxxing in the name, the fact that looks is like statistics that you can maximize, is just, no, it doesn't work like that. And then you also have to consider the or like its origins, where exactly Looksmaxxing comes from. Looksmaxxing has like origins from like incel forums and stuff, where like incels think, where like these like lonely men think that like, oh, the way I can get like women to like me is to simply, you know, look my greatest, look my best, look like a freaking 10 out of 10 model, Giga Chad, Brad Pitt, whatever the hell. Which, yeah, in some cases that will work, but at the same time, there's like a lot of things that like these incels aren't considering. One, Looksmaxxing, being Looksmax does tend to get your foot in the door, but if you only Looksmax, you will only attract and, I guess, retain a certain type of woman, which, in my opinion, it's maybe not the ideal woman that everybody wants. This is like just speaking from the general male perspective. I feel like this same idea applies to women as well, albeit in a different way because of social dynamics, but still. And then the second idea they're thinking is that like looks will only get you in the door. Like looking pretty opens up doors to you, but like when you actually enter it, if you don't have any like personality, if you don't have any inner work, if you don't have any like self-develop, if you don't have any character, that's when the people already in the door will say, hey bro, this person is lame, they're gonna want to kick you out, and like that will have that door shut. So like looks aren't the be all end all that like these like incel types do like manifest it as. And the thing is that I think they take it as social currency way too literally. Like a lot of people who are prettier than others feel like some sort of entitlement to like the good things in life, or they feel like they're superior to others. Which, I mean, the thing about attractiveness and appearance is that like, yeah, a lot of someone's appearance does come down to choice. Think of like weight, for example, but like there's also like factors of like appearance that like really is out of anyone's control. The prime example, height. But still, I feel like, you know, my personal philosophy on how like attraction works, at least like in a relationship sense, really does like, I would break it down into three things. The first one is obviously looks, because, you know, people who say looks don't matter are just delusional. But another aspect is personality. Like, is this person good to be around? You know, looks get you in the door, but then like personality and stuff keeps you in whatever social situation we're talking about. So like in the context of a relationship, looks will get you in the door, it will attract the person to you, and then like, but like personality will keep you in the actual social context that you're trying to enter. And it also boils down to like this idea of like this personal idea that I have, that like attraction is partially psychological. Now, there's like the more broader psychological context, as in like, you know, what society raises us to like be attracted to. So for example, if you're raised in any Western nation, you probably have a Eurocentric view of attraction, meaning that like you like slim, kind of like a slim, thinner women. But when you have an Afrocentric view, you personally prefer thicker women. I think I've touched on this idea in one of my previous videos. Which one was it? I think it was the Imani Forrester one, the crazy quote-unquote female chauvinist who will just shit on men and stuff. But yeah, I touched on that idea there, where like this idea of like people like what's the ideal in terms of beauty, at least yeah, the ideal in terms of beauty comes down to like scarcity and availability, and like this idea of like a survival of wanting to survive. Because like a lot of the times attractive features such as having a strong jawline, being tall, having good skin, or being of a certain body type is a subconscious indicator of health. Now, that can change depending on the culture. For example, being like chubby, being thick in somewhere like Africa or India, where like food is more scarce, would be more attractive on that side of the world. Whereas compared to like the West, where like slimness is more attractive because it's harder to obtain, since like a lot of the foods we eat are like fatty asses and stuff. But there's also I guess another part of this, like what I mean by psychological, being like to do with the person's personality and what they mean to you. It kind of like ties back to this like I guess mini story time that I had this interaction with this girl I had like maybe 2 months ago at this convention we met. She was talking about like her life and stuff, and she mentioned her ex-boyfriend, and she was roasting this guy, calling him chopped and stuff. But when she actually showed me a picture of this guy, I thought I honestly thought he was like a normal looking dude. He's perfectly fine. But then, like later that day, I sat down, I thought about it, and like, oh wait, this girl probably deems her ex to be unattractive because he probably did some horrible shit to her that like made her like, you know, turn off, and that like permanently rewire her psychology when it comes to like how she thinks about this person. So it's just like an interesting idea I had. I really don't know where I'm going with this video because I'm literally just like talking off of the dome here. I'm not like too good at this. I'm not like really too good at this like style of content, but I need something to upload for this week. So yeah, just something I wanted to talk about. So yeah, if you don't mind, hit the subscribe button. I'm kind of desperate for subs, and yeah, catch y'all. It's been a moment. Catch y'all later.